Is everybody ready? All right, and we'll call this meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to roll call.
Councilmember Mazzoni.
Here.
Councilmember Palfini.
Here.
Councilmember Virasan.
Here.
Councilmember Wetstein.
Present.
Mayor Parham.
Present. All right, acceptance of agenda or urgency items. Do we have anything that we need to move for urgency?
We don't have any items, Mayor.
Okay,
Do we have to have a motion to accept it? I move that we accept the agenda as written.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, unanimous consent. Non-agenda public comment. This is the time for our non-existent public to comment on anything that is not on the agenda. Seeing as there is no public, we will move on to council member announcements, meeting reports, and comments. And we'll start with Councilmember Mazzoni.
Nothing for me.
Okay. And Councilmember Virasan.
Nothing from me.
All right. Councilmember Wetstein.
Nothing. I would just like to say to the rest of the people that were at the Lola meeting last night that I enjoyed it and enjoyed meeting the individuals from the other cities who are on the city council. And it was a wonderful comment by our mayor giving updates to the city of Weed. So I think it was successful.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem Palfini.
Actually, nothing at this time, so I'll leave all of the reporting for the Lola to you. Yes?
All right, well, would like to report that we had 4 of our 5 council members, as well as our interim city manager, attend the legal local agencies meeting last night. There was a very interesting presentation from the county in regards to the housing elements and the work the county's doing with other agencies and their progress there. And there was a lot of information from other cities. It was very well received. One thing that is noticeable across the board is a lot of our communities in Siskiyou County are struggling financially. And certainly we have our own challenges here, but I just want to say, how thankful I am to our staff for the work that we are doing and things that we're getting accomplished. We have a lot of positive action items and things that we're moving forward across the board. And it was a good honor to be able to say that and speak to those items that we're accomplishing here in Weed at the legal local agencies. So appreciate the work staff is doing to keep us moving forward. And that is all I have to report this month. So now we'll move on to the consent agenda. And first item is item A, code enforcement. By motion, council will consider second reading and adoption by title only of ordinance number 482, 2024, adding chapter 12.22 and amending sections 9.10.020, 9.10.050, and 9.10.150 of chapter 9.10 of the Weed Municipal Code. Item B, administrative. By motion, council will consider second reading and adoption by title only of ordinance number 475-2024, amending section 2.12.070 of chapter 2.12 and chapter 2.16 of title 2 of the Weed Municipal Code. Item C, city clerk. By motion, approve minutes from December 12th, 2024 regular meeting. Item D, finance. By motion, approve payment warrants dated December 16th, 2024 through December 19th, 2024, including any voided warrants totaling $879,446.49. And last item E, finance. By motion, approve and file month-end report for December 2024. Are there any items to be removed from consent?
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I would request to table the administrative action of ordinance number 475-2024. I think the current timing that we have, we could probably have some more information that would assist the council members in making a decision if the transfer is appropriate at this time.
Why don't we remove that, and then we'll place it at the, after the consent agenda, and then we can ask for the tabling?
Thank you.
If that works.
Is that, which one letter is that?
That's B.
B.
Correct?
Okay, so we have a motion to remove item B from the consent agenda.
Well, it has been removed. It doesn't require a motion.
Okay.
So now, the question is whether or not there's an amended motion with respect to the consent agenda with removal of B.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, any discussion from council? All in favor of approving consent with the removal of item B?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Councilmember Wetstein, if you'd like to just provide your request regarding that item at this time.
I would request a table and perhaps recalendar it at a later date. I believe right now in the timing with us currently in search of a new city manager, that perhaps removing and transferring those responsibilities might be better discussed at the time that we've filled that particular position with the city manager, before we start transferring city positions to be hired and managed. I would like to see who we end up with city manager before we make a decision on this particular issue.
Okay. Pretty simple.
We have a motion to
Is that a
table.
motion?
Make a motion to table.
Second?
All right, any discussion from the council? All right, all in favor of tabling this item to a future date?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, now moving on to council business. We have item A, code enforcement. By motion, council will consider resolution number 01/2025, adopting a policy for the notice, removal, and storage of personal property from encampment removal sites.
I move to adopt ordinance number 4822024.
We need to probably hear from,
Oh, we have to hear from him first.
probably over there, that guy over in the
I
corner.
can summarize
Chief.
it for you real quick.
Okay.
Back in November, the governor issued an executive order advising, directing cities and counties to come establish a plan for removal of encampments from public property. That's what this is. It follows those guidelines as outlaid in the executive order in 124. Basically follows the Caltrans policy. It's not really going to be any different than anything that this department wouldn't have done prior to that. It just, puts it on a piece of paper and makes it formal that is our policy. It's going to be a 60-day storage. There are exigent circumstances that allow us to not post if there's, a direct threat to public health or safety. But we will collect property, valuable property, and store it for 60 days. We'll follow hazmat requirements as needed as we run into those, as we identify those. So pretty simple little policy, but again, it's nothing different than we wouldn't have done prior to the executive order. It's just a requirement.
Do we have an established storage area? Sorry.
We have some storage. It just depends on how big of an area, the idea here is hopefully it's not a large amount of property, but even in that circumstance, we could probably accommodate that. But in the very few circumstances where this has happened in the past, we were able to house that property for the required time.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or discussion from council?
Not me, no good.
She made a motion. Is that still good?
Yes, there's a motion on the
on the.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the item A and adopt ordinance, a resolution number 01/2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will now move on to staff reports, and we'll start with Chief Duncan.
I don't have any this month, thank you.
All right, and on to Finance Director Porterfield.
I don't have anything other than we're just head down trying to get stuff done, so.
All right, and Director Davis.
So as what some of you might have already noticed, the water bypass project, they are on South Weed Boulevard right now, hooking up houses, going from, the houses are being removed off of the 2-inch that will be abandoned onto the water main that was installed shortly after the Bulls fire. And then hopefully the SCADA system will be done within the next couple weeks on our water system.
Excellent. All right, Chief Mayberry.
Some of you may have seen on social media, we recently had a missing person that resulted in a silver alert. I just want to publicly thank Weed Fire Department, CAL FIRE, California Highway Patrol, and Siskiyou County Sheriff's Department for their quick response. We were able to locate that individual and get them some medical attention as they had some exposure overnight from being outside of their home. But again, thank you to all of them for coming out and quickly. That could have ended much worse, but quick response and mutual aid helped in that situation.
Excellent. And City Clerk Dookie.
No report.
Report. All right, and our interim city manager, Mr. Baker.
I'm just gonna say Happy New Year, and no report beyond that.
Happy New Year.
Come on
And-
now, we're only 10 minutes in here.
And our city attorney, Mr. Ruderman.
Yes, I have a 500-slide PowerPoint presentation I'd like to provide. No, just Happy New Year to everyone.
All right, well, there are no further staff reports. We will now move on and adjourn to closed session.
I forgot my puppet show. Hold on.
I'll see you next month. I missed the public comment.
You did. I kept looking and going, I told them you were coming for public comment too. I prepped you for everything.
Are we allowed to allow public comment in this section of the?
That's at the mayor's discretion.
I am excited that we have even a late arriving member of the public, and so at my discretion, I will allow public comment because I love to hear from our people here in Weed.
He's taking his jacket off. This could be serious.
He's staying a while.
Bob Hall, 649 Stringtown Avenue. Real quickly, just like to address the council regarding our Main Street, the road. It's atrocious. Real quick, in 2013, we began, 2012, we began restoration down on Main Street. There was 120 volunteers that did the paving. Not only the paving, we put in the overhead lights, we put in the street lights, and a lot of work. It took 18 months before we put a shovel to the ground. It took another 18 months, 2 summers, working out there, volunteering. Out of those 120, there was 123 people. 5 of those people were actually people that were born and raised in Weed. So a lot of people moving into community that cared enough to come out to do that. But my point is, we did this work, and I am asking the council to come up with a solution or with a plan for Main Street and a suspense date on it when it's going to be complete. I know funds are short, but I don't think there's any. I think it's very important that we take care of this as soon as we can. I know we have problems down there with absentee landlords, but I think if we don't do something with Main Street, that's a moot subject. The first thing's got to be done for the community itself, for nothing else, just for our pride, to drive down the street. That street it's got to be maintained. It needs to be surfaced and painted. You build it, they'll come. Thank you. And I'd like to see maybe a workshop, or be looking for maybe a public input. But we've got to get that done. Thank you. I've got to go to another meeting.
You forgot the trees, by the way.
Pardon?
You forgot the trees.
Oh, and the trees, there was a lot of other things too. A lot of other things. Quite a story. We should have written it down. But please follow up on that. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. As someone who owns a business on Main Street, I wholeheartedly agree. I remember when those volunteers did that project, and a lot of us benefited from that. So I'd like to ask our city manager to look into scheduling the workshop so that we can find a schedule for a date in February that we can bring in the public to discuss that as an item with the council. I know there have been some discussions with potential, seeking for grants for Main Street projects as well. But I think that would be good for us to have a workshop and have public input because it's going to take, as you've said many times, Bob, it's going to take a village. We need to get a lot more people involved, and we're going to need a lot of volunteers to help. Obviously, citizens aren't going to be able to pave the road, but there are other things we need to address as well, and I think public input is invaluable for that.
We can certainly do that. I know that there are some plans for repaving the street, but what I'm hearing is it's not just the street paving itself, but the entire streetscape from building to building that you want to look at? Is that?
Yes, I'd like to get public input. I mean, it's something that we've been working on as a council and staff on the paving portion, but I think there are other, items that it would be helpful for us to discuss in a workshop setting and hear the needs of the public, get the public engaged and involved, and then we can take those ideas and work through them.
One other comment. When we did this job down there, we found some safety monies, and it was moved around. It was $450,000 we did the project. It was estimated that project, the volunteer project, was $2.5 million that we did with volunteers. So maybe if we have to go that route, but it has to be done. But in bringing more people into the game is the name of the game. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Can I ask the city manager a question?
Of course.
Or city council who's been here for a while? Have we looked into the Main Street America program and see if our historical roots here qualify for the program?
I'm unaware of us looking at the Main Street program, but the Main Street program I don't think it's actually based on any kind of history as much as it's based on having a core of merchants that all work together for the common good. It's a program that works in a lot of different places across the United States, but it is a very intensive program as well. We could certainly provide some information about that. I'm not sure.
We have looked at it.
Okay,
Yeah.
at some point in the past?
In the past, yeah,
Okay.
we looked at a number of ways to try and improve. The biggest stumbling blocks become, again, it goes back to the same bad behavior of a few landlords that keeps the hope, even the Main Street project. It's made to enhance, it's not made to reconstruct. And it is a lengthy process, as I remember. It's been probably 8 years, 9 years ago. But
And
we
this
looked
is-
at that whole Main Street project.
This is where the value of a public workshop comes in because we need stakeholders, not just our citizens, but we need our business owners, the Chamber of Commerce, all of our fraternal clubs such as Rotary that are still existent, operating in the community to be involved. This is something that, taking pride in the community starts with everybody, not just here with the city staff.
I would also like to interject that right prior to 2014 and the Bulls fire, we did have an economic committee going on to improve the economics of our Main Street. We had roughly, I'm thinking in the neighborhood of 20. They're in the minutes somewhere a long time ago. And we did have participation. The Bulls fire hit, a few things kind of got all jumbled up and never got really back to those kind of roots. Not saying that we cannot, because we have different people there. And I'm with Bob. I was one of those meatheads that was down there for 2 summers. I think he undersold the program. If I remember right, it was at least 4 years. Although, but it was a long time. We did the first block 3 times. It took us a whole summer.
We will certainly try to keep you from having to lay and relay the bricks.
There's no
again.
way I can even do it
Right,
anymore.
so, but we can provide some information about some of the programs that are available. I'm familiar with having downtown associations as well. There is a critical mass that needs to happen in order for some of those programs to be successful. So, but we certainly could look at some of the tools and bring those out. I think it's probably a longer discussion that may start with discussing what needs to happen downtown, and then looking at various tools to make that happen.
Yeah,
The Main Street program is probably more of a capstone kind of project, where you have a lot of merchants who are really working to make it successful, but there are other ideas on how to make that happen.
Well, we do have some strong, kind of cornerstone folks down there.
Right.
I
yeah.
mean, from our current mayor all the way down to the bowling alley and in between, we do have a strong little nucleus building. It's not quick enough for most of us, as we know, but I mean, but restarting is good. I like the idea.
Okay.
And I hate to keep pushing this, but I've heard a number of times that the stumbling block is some individuals who are, for lack of a better term, holding hostage some buildings on Main Street. How is it that I can either move to have it on public agenda or in closed session to discuss what's going on with those issues?
Oh,
That's,
true.
that's gonna be up to the mayor and city manager, but we can work with that.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to be brought up to speed.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what you need. There are
Okay.
some things going on.
Right,
For both new members.
Yeah.
yeah.
They need to be updated on what has or hasn't been going on.
Okay. Let us work on that, because there is some information that I think would be helpful, and then I think there are some things that would be good future actions as well.
Thank
We
you.
can work that out.
Excellent. All right, well, unfortunately, our public has left, so we will now entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I make a motion to adjourn into closed session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned to closed session.
And for the record, Mayor, there are no announcements expected out of closed session.
I just.